I have a question. Have you ever been on BookTok?
I have not, but I know you are very into it, and I've heard a little tiny bit.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
from you.
So just a little bit about BookTok. It's a vibrant community on TikTok where readers share book recommendations and reviews. Has significantly influenced contemporary literature consumption, particularly among young women. So this is really about women that do BookTok. This platform has popularized genres like romance, erotica, and romantasy. Which is a blend of romance and fantasy, if you didn't know that.
Oh, I didn't.
Leading to discussions about its impact on readers' perceptions of relationships and expectations of male behavior. So that's what we're talking about today.
Okay.
We're going to talk about BookTok, but specifically around the dark romances.
Okay.
And have you ever read any dark romances?
I never have. However, I have picked up a book in Walmart and read like a page, and good golly God. Wow.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say.
My grandma, like literally back when I was 16, and this was back in the 90s, you know, I was 16, and my grandma brought me into her room, and she said, well, now that you're 16, and she had stacks of romance novels.
What?
I mean, stacked in her room. And she said, well, now that you're 16, I'm sorry, no, I was 15. Now that you're 15, go ahead and pick one of these out, but don't tell your parents.
Oh my God.
So I did. And I would sit in my chair in front of my window, and I had like a swivel chair. Swivel it away from the door. So if my parents came in, I could whoop down on the side of the chair and turn and be like, oh, I'm just looking out the window. I'm just checking.
I'm just
just chilling. And I was reading some smutty smut.
Ooh.
What's so interesting, and now I'm going to flash forward. I'm going to go forward to today. I've read some dark romance. I have read Haunting Adeline. Adeline. Sorry, I'm getting names mixed up. I have Hunting, the second book. I have read... like I read Akatar, even though it's not really a dark romance, it has like a lot of like darkness in it. Like and then you have your typical ones, which honestly 50 Shades of Grey is pretty vanilla compared to some of these that I've heard about and I've read. So it's pretty vanilla. In fact, 50 Shades of Grey is like a beginner's
That's what
story.
I was gonna say. I remember the one, I think it was Haunting Adeline that you talked about. Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. So this begs a question that has popped up. Is the entrance of dark romances, meaning that you have this male character and he's very disturbed in so many ways, but he also has like a really good side to him, but also they're usually extremely possessive. Like, let's take Zane. He like stalked her in the book.
Is this Haunting Adeline?
Yeah.
Okay.
He stalked her. He like he was basically like,
so like Joe.
But even
From
like
you.
It's creepy, right? I mean, he did some things that like, you know, she would like, there was some things in that book that would literally be considered rape. Okay.
Oh.
I mean, yeah, but because she thought it was like hot or whatever, it didn't. But he stalked her. He was obsessed with her, obsessed.
Oh my God.
But then that like turned into like some weird obsession with each other, and then they were in love. But they did some really freaky stuff. Like there was a gun involved.
Oh my God.
That went places.
Oh.
Yeah. But I mean, but at the same time, he was devoted to stopping human trafficking and like had his little thing that he did where he would like, so there was this other really good side. This is pretty common in these books. In fact, if you go back to when I was 15 in the romance novels, they're rude and grumpy, and you know, the woman, like the males are always like come off as like being grumpy and angry and possessive, but the women are usually like flighty and like, I can change him. And what they do, they come in and they change him. They get to see a side of him that no one else gets to see. And why is that not something us as women want so bad?
But do we want it because?
To be the only one that sees the side of somebody.
Now, I was going to ask how, since you've read these when you were like 16 to now, how have they differed? Like, I know you kind of briefly talked about it, but have they gotten like amped up? Like, have they, like, is it just in the way that the men are portrayed, or is it the way women are portrayed?
It depends on what you're reading, right? So
Mm-hmm.
when you take ACOTAR, I read all of them. Sarah J. Maas is amazing. So this is more like romantasy, right?
Okay.
She depicts clearly in her books, I think she's fabulous because she depicts clearly a very unhealthy, toxic love interest in the beginning. But then the one that is the true love interest is the epitome of a healthy male. And she literally shows the difference so starkly.
Okay.
Yeah, so you have, in that one, you have Tamlin, and it starts off, and you're like, oh, you think he's going to be the love. I didn't like Tamlin from the start.
Yep.
You know, we all know that, well, we don't all know, but I've been through some bad relationships, right? Like,
Yes.
I pinged Tamlin pretty fast. So it starts off where he's the love interest.
Okay.
But then things start to unravel. Reese comes in, and you think that he's like, you know, because he's from the night court, and he's, you know, supposed to be dark
The
and
night
brooding.
court?
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. Reese. He's the best. So it ends up being, at first you're like, oh, he's the bad guy. But then when you truly look into it, like, Reese is the epitome of a healthy dude.
Interesting.
And then Tamlin's toxic. He has toxic male masculinity. He like secludes her.
Oh.
He like changes her. He like wants her to be a certain way. Like, it's so crazy. He like she's literally deteriorating, and he doesn't care. He doesn't see it because she's doing what he wants her to be doing.
We know a guy like
So
that.
So he starts off great. You know, is all supposed to be this like love interest, and Farah's like, oh, like Tamlin, but that quickly deteriorates, and like, again, she's a shell of herself, and he could care less because she's doing exactly what he wants her to do. So on her books, I say kudos to her because she shows clearly a toxic relationship and a non-toxic relationship. But in these dark romances, there's a lot of mixing of toxic and love.
Would you say some of it is kind of romanticizing toxicity?
Very much so. Yes. And I love BookTok girlies. Do not come at me. I love a good book. I love the dark romances, but I also look at them with very open eyes. And the fact that I'm like, would I really want that? I don't know if I really want that. Because with this possessiveness. So let's kind of talk about that a little bit. Just some things that were pulled up. So one thing that is interesting is we'll talk about the dark romances, but we're also going to talk about like what happens. Like, are these guys actual guys having to live up to some pretty big expectations? You know, we've talked about porn.
Yes.
And how women are depicted, and how that gives men this like false idea of what a woman's supposed to be like, especially in the bedroom. You know, like it makes
big
women.
Performance is supposed
Well,
to be
that's
put
what
on.
I'm saying, and it makes women think that they're gonna need to, like
Amp
some
it up.
women. Yeah. So BookTok frequently shows male characters who are insanely devoted, emotionally expressive, and often possess a blend of dominant and vulnerable traits. These portrayals, while fictional, can shape readers' expectations, leading some to desire partners who emulate these idealized behaviors. As noted in a Very Well Mind article, readers may find themselves comparing real-life relationships to the heightened emotional romantic standards set by fictional narratives. But also the romanticization of toxic relationships. So a concern raised by critics is the romanticization of unhealthy relationship dynamics within some popular books. For instance, Colleen Hoover's It Ends With Us, which was a big movie, has been critiqued for depicting abusive relationships in a manner that may downplay their severity. Such narratives can blur the lines between passionate romance and toxic behavior, potentially influencing young readers' understanding of healthy relationships. So it's really about the young people, right? Like, dark romances has almost turned into a kink. In fact, some of our, like, you know, our, like, only fangirlies or guys, like, they've kind of gone into their stuff they put out is literally reenacting some of these scenes in these dark romances.
Interesting.
Because that's what is popular now.
Well, it is with TV shows too, because with You, like...
I was just going to say, with You.
The girlies
love
him.
Even the show. makes it a little hard in the beginning.
Yeah.
Now, when you get through all the seasons, like when I got to this last season, I was like, yo.
You're like,
Dude's crazy. But at the beginning, you're like, oh, he just really loves her.
Yeah.
He just loves Beck. He just, you know, and you literally start feeling like, oh, Beck, you're the villain.
Yes.
Like, that's how you get.
I will say, watching that show, even I was like, ooh, I'd be a little flattered if he was, like, watching me, like, following me, but it's so toxic.
But that's, like, exactly what these books depict. Is they're like, oh, he's like, stalking me.
I'm so special.
He's literally looking at me through the window. Let me put a little show on for him. Like, and that's what's crazy, because that's what Joe thought Beck was doing.
Right, and it was not.
No, he thought she was putting a show on for him, like, in his mind. And it's crazy because, like, you do like Joe, and you're like, oh, I like him. Yeah. Like, you know. But then when you get to the fourth, you're just like, okay. He's crazy. Like, he is legitimately crazy. The rise of dark romance and its implications. So BookTok has played a pivotal role in popularizing dark romance, as I was talking about, where complex power dynamics and morally ambiguous characters, I think that's really interesting to say morally ambiguous, because they are central themes. While these narratives can offer compelling storytelling, they frequently depict relationships that blur the lines between passion and abuse. For instance, again, we have the In With Us has been both lauded and criticized for its portrayal of an abusive relationship. Some readers, get this, interpret the story as a cautionary tale, while others romanticize the male protagonist's behavior, overlooking the underlying issues of domestic violence. So they've actually had some people want that guy and like him. Yeah. And they didn't see it as an abusive thing. Yep. You know? So the portrayal of a toxic relationship as romantic can influence readers' expectations and understanding of real-life partnerships. A study published in Current Psychology found that when abusive scenarios are romanticized, women are more likely to exhibit surviving behaviors, meaning they may stay in a tolerant, unhealthy relationship, interpreting controlling or aggressive actions as signs of love. Oof. Furthermore, young adult literature that glamorizes toxic dynamics can subtly reinforce the notion that such behavior is acceptable or even desirable. This is particularly concerning for an impressionable audience who may lack the experience to distinguish between fictional drama and healthy relationship standards. Interesting, because I honestly think that, what's it called? I just had it in my Twilight. I think it depicts some toxicity in that whole relationship, like with Edward and her and everything. I think there's a lot of like toxicness going on in that one. You know, she wanted to explore things. He was very much like, no, I'm gonna flip it on its head here. She wanted to explore a thing. He was afraid he was gonna hurt her, so he was like, no. He didn't trust her. He wasn't going to give her what she wanted. And it's like, but it was he was like, no, like, this is what I, like, and I think that's like, wanted. Yeah, exactly. And through all of it, a lot of it is what Edward wants. Yeah. And Edward's like, no, it's for your good. Like, this is your safety and blah, 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 blah. I know
better than you.
Yeah. Not giving her the space to make her own decisions, which I think was interesting. So I'm going to talk about Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. Okay. A good book, guys. I'm not taking away from the fact that it's a very good read. But it's filled with graphic depictions of stalking, kidnapping, and non-consensual sex. Oh. Literally, okay. I said it was grape, and I mean it was grape, which is often framed as a part of a twisted love story. What? Yes. Legitimately. Here's why that became dangerous, especially when romanticized on platforms on BookTok, because that is one that is so romanticized. Blurring consent and control. That is like so true. The male lead in Haunting Adeline exhibits predatory behavior that would be deeply disturbing in real life, like we talked about with Joe. Obsessive control, manipulation, and sexual violence. Oh. When readers label these actions as hot or express a desire for a similar relationship, it normalizes harmful power dynamics and muddles the understanding of consent. For younger, impressionable readers, that could warp their expectations of what passion or love should look like. Because he is in love with her, but it's insane. He stalks her. I said he grapes her. but it's all under the cloak of the I love you. And then the second one, she gets kidnapped by one of the sex trafficking he breaks, and she gets forced into sex trafficking, and they're very detailed in the book. That book made me like cry. I literally broke down crying trying to read it. Like they show. That's another one. Like I have a hard time because they literally make it to where you get to see what these poor people what they go through. But it made me like want to vomit. Like I wanted to vomit. But then when he gets her back and he has her at her house, he starts abusing her to get her back. Like cutting her and cutting himself, and it's insane.
What?
Because she's a shell of her person because she was forced into this sex trafficking and was used and abused. I mean, very, very horribly. Like, it was very bad. And so he gets her back, and then that's what he does to bring her back.
How does that bring her back?
I don't know, but in the book it does. It's not okay. It's really hard because I read it and I think it's a really good book. Like, it's got good writing, but when I really step back and look at it, I'm like that's messed up.
Lord.
And I'm telling you guys, like, between me and you, I got some kinks. I'm going to put it, I do.
100%.
I like some rough stuff.
Yes.
I do. I like it.
Can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah.
Because I think that there's a space for that kind of stuff, like, to be role played.
That's the key right there.
You know what I mean?
Play.
Like,
but these books aren't role play.
No.
And then what was concerning is, will people think this should just be role play?
Yeah.
Like, if you want to read these books and you're like, I could get my sweet husband to pretend to be this, that's so okay and that's so fun.
Yes.
But if you're like a young reader and you're reading these books and you're like, I want a man obsessed with me like that in real life, that obsession is scary and dangerous.
And does not end in love. And in good, I don't know how the book ended, but it doesn't typically end.
It ends in love.
Yeah, it does not in real life.
Yeah. Yeah. So the second thing is it reinforces the fix-him fantasy. The narrative leans into the idea that love can heal a broken, violent man. That trope might feel empowering in fiction, but in reality, it can lead women to stay in emotionally or physically abusive relationships under the belief that they can just change them. And it encourages the idea that suffering is part of love, which can be psychologically damaging. In these books, it's all about suffering in the name of love.
Oh my God.
Or like with Zane, I think Zaid or Zane. I wish I could remember his name now. I know it's Z though. Mm-hmm. He is very tortured because he's seen things, like things have happened. So he's a super tortured guy, but that's like the draw to him.
Yeah.
And then he's like literally obsessed with her and stalks her. And then the gun comes out. It's like a whole thing. And then in the second one, she gets kidnapped. I mean, he goes to the ends of earth to find her. So there's that romantic part. But then she's a shell because she was going through this awful thing. Like, he did everything to find her. But then she's a shell. And he's trying. But then finally he's like, I'm just going to abuse her and bring her back. I'm not laughing. It's just true. It's so absurd. When I say it like that, it's so absurd.
It is.
It's absurd.
I love how I'm just like, well, how? And you're like, I don't know. In the book, it just does.
Yeah.
He abuses her and helps.
But then, like, you take 50 Shades of Grey, right? Yeah. He's an emotionally damaged guy. He's got trauma. He's like, that's why he's into this stuff. Yep. And she wants to fix him. Yep. And she does. And then they have a baby together. But then they do this as a kink, which is fine again. Right. Like, again, fine. Yes. But that's that fix him mentality. Yep. You know? Mm-hmm. That's a book and that's a movie, and it doesn't go that way most often.
No.
Yeah. So, and then this other kind of thing was interesting that it said, and I thought that was really true, is it undermines survivor narratives. And I am a survivor of abuse and trauma. Yeah. I am a survivor. I went through horrific abuse. If you guys have not followed our other podcasts, like, I've been through really, really horrific abuse from men. And it says, by romanticizing abuse and trauma without clear condemnation or emotional accountability, these stories risk trivializing trivializing the real experience of survivors. When a character falls in love with her captor or assailant, and it's presented as sexy rather than disturbing, it can desensitize readers to the severity of sexual violence and trauma.
Now, as someone who has had a lot of like sexual trauma, does it kind of almost feel insulting sometimes that it's being like romanticized in a way?
There's twofold, especially with like the haunting and the hunting of Adeline, is it can feel insulting because like I know what it's like to be
on
that
receiving
end of it. It's not glamorous, and this man is not obsessed. Well, I mean, obsessed with you, but not in the way that's in these
They're
books,
not always going to be a hot hunk.
No, not at all.
Most of the time,
no,
not happening.
And even if they are, like, there comes a time, like, if you actually meet somebody like this, that it doesn't feel sexy. It doesn't feel hot. It feels like abuse. It's a very different feeling. So it's such a different thing. I think that's kind of the one thing I really wanted to put in this one. There's clear distinction between role playing it, that's hot, that's sexy, to actually living it.
Right.
But in the second one where she was going through and they were actually writing her actual abuse, even though I think the other's abuse, but like it broke me down because it was so like, I'm reading
detailed.
Human trafficking, but it's what I went through. And I almost wanted to vomit, but like, it was also kind of like interesting because on that one, I felt very seen because I've never seen sexual abuse written down in a book like that. But it's really muddled because it's also in a book with her love being kind of abusive too. You know, so it was very muddled. Yeah. And that's why I was saying, good writer, excellent, interesting idea, but like the delivery just kind of muddled the whole thing. Yeah. You know?
Did it? Because I remember, I think it was the Haunting Adeline that you had been reading at the time, and you said it almost felt a little like healing too to read.
It did.
In a way. Yeah. So like.
That's what I mean, like to see it on paper, to see the pain and the. I've never seen how I felt going through that written like onto paper. Never, never. And they really, and I almost think that whoever wrote this book had to have been a recipient of sexual abuse because like I've never seen my pain put down on paper like that. Yeah. And it felt very healing to read it, but at the same time came the muddleness of it because then her love of her life is crazy, you know? But not crazy. Right. But rescuing. But also then he decides to be like, okay, I'm going to beat you up or whatever to make you get back into, you know, where you need to be. God. So while dark romance fans often defend these books as pure fantasy, and that's true, they are, the danger comes when fiction starts to influence real world expectations. Without a disclaimer or critical thinking, there's a risk that young women start to internalize the idea that abuse is romantic, dominance equals love, and red flags are just misunderstood green ones. So it's, in short, with this one, Hunting Adeline isn't dangerous because it exists. Yeah. That's not why it's dangerous. It becomes dangerous when it's consumed without nuance, promoted without warnings, embraced as a relationship ideal instead of examined as a disturbed fantasy. Yeah. It's essential for readers to critically engage with dark romance and for platforms like BookTok to make space for deeper conversations about what these narratives really communicate. I use chat sometimes. I said, how does this affect guys when it comes to relationships? Are they less likely to be wanted if they aren't deemed dangerous? And so it basically said the safe guy gets overlooked. Yeah. Men who are kind, emotionally available, and respectful of boundaries may be perceived as boring or lacking edge.
Our guest on our last episode.
Yep, spoke of this. Yeah, or compared to the dramatic, brooding, trauma-laced bad boys glorified in certain book talks. So they're compared to that. So this can lead some guys to feel invisible, inadequate, especially if they don't perform masculinity in the more dominant or mysterious way that that are trending in these fantasies. Yeah. And then the pressure to perform toxic masculinity. Some men might begin to feel they have to fake emotional unavailability, which is interesting to me. I never thought about that. Possessiveness or even aggression to be seen as attractive or exciting. it totally blew my mind because I could see a girl doing that.
Yeah.
I could see a girl pretending to be demure.
Yes.
And like, oh, I'm just a little female because they want to, play that role to be sexy and attractive. I never once thought a guy being like, I need to play that role.
Yeah. That's wild.
This doesn't just harm their partners. It also stunts their own growth, emotional well-being, and authenticity. Instead of being encouraged to be emotionally mature, communicative, or vulnerable, they might feel those traits make them less desirable, which I could see.
That's so sad.
Yeah. Yeah. And then confusion of boundaries. That's another one. Yeah. Romanticizing toxic behavior creates mixed signals about what women actually want. One moment, the message is, I want a man who respects me and communicates. And the next is, I want him to grab me and tell me I'm his, but a little bit more forceful than that. By the throat, against the door. The duality can leave a lot of men confused, especially younger ones still trying to figure out intimacy, leading them to either shut down emotionally or misinterpret consent cues. Women or men who are sexual abuse survivors oftentimes go to the kink of aggressive sex.
Yep.
And for me, it is actually a part of me taking my power back.
Yeah.
For me to be dominated during sex or to be having that aggression and the pain even. Like, to me, I'm fully in control. And so I take that power back. Like, it helps me feel...
Because when it originally happened to you, you were not in control.
No.
It was not something you wanted.
No.
So now the fact that you want it, you feel more empowered by it.
I do.
Yeah, that makes
and
sense.
so it turns me on.
Yeah.
It turns me on. I like it. I like aggressive sex.
Hey,
I like
girl,
to be
same.
beat up in a way, a little bit, I like that. And I just think, I hear that a lot. Like, when I talk to people who have had sexual abuse and stuff, like, they say that often, like, I'm still in control. And also, like, sorry, our minds are messed up. They're very messed up. I for instance, with me, for those of you who have not followed our other podcast, I first was sexually raped when I was 4 going on to 5. And then again when I was a teenager, and then again. And then, and you guys are going to be like, what the hell, girl, were you doing? I had a very toxic family. And then I was forced into a very abusive marriage to someone I didn't love, and was raped in that as well. So, like, I never had a normal thinking mind when it came to that.
Yep.
I never thought normally. There just was no world or space for me to think normally in that, ever. So for me, like, when I read these books, but I can definitely look at that and say, well, I don't want that in a relationship. But I can also look at it and be like, oh, that's hot. That's really hot what he's doing. But
see, I think that's the thing, is you can distinct.
I do.
You can be like, okay, this is like kind of hot. Like, if role played.
If role played.
But I don't want the actual.
Exactly. I don't want a relationship with that. But if role played, like, I'll take the communicative guy, the safe guy. If I would love for him to be able to role play that.
Yes.
Which can happen, girlies.
Yes.
Guys can do that. They absolutely can do that. So I have a question for you. When you see women on TikTok, and I know you haven't really been on a lot of BookTok, right? But if you see women that want a man like one in Haunting Adeline, like literally saying, I need a man to ruin me. And they've said this. Do you think they're joking, or do you think it's seeping into how we actually expect men to act now?
I think it's what they kind of want.
Yeah,
I don't think it's joking fully. And I think, like you said, I think a lot of it is probably trauma that on their end that they have had happen to them, and it's probably what feels familiar or what, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're joking though.
Yeah, I feel like they are literally taking these characters, which are monsters in love. That's what they are in these books. They're monsters, and they're calling them goals.
Yeah.
And it's all over our feed. Like I said, I'm on BookTok, right? And so it really does draw, like, it influences who we're drawn to,
We see it even with murderers in jail.
Yeah.
Dude. Like,
they write them. But, I mean, women were going after Ted Bundy, who killed women.
Chris Watts too, I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He had no problem killing his wife and children.
His whole family. Entire family, dude.
Yeah, because the problem is a lot of these men in dark romances, they're unsafe. They're controlling, possessive, manipulative, and like you were saying, some are actual killers.
Yeah.
You know? So do you think we're confusing toxicity with intensity? Like, does pain now equal passion in our minds?
Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think so
100%.
too. Yeah. I think that women are bored with the safe guy.
I think so too.
I
think they've always been bored with the
I think
safe
they
guy.
always say, you think about that. I don't want a lap dog.
Yeah.
I've said it. I'm going to be honest. I've
Yeah.
said it. I don't want a lap dog. You know,
See, and you don't have to go for like the boring guy.
No.
But like safe is not bad. And I don't know, but I don't think that this is a new concept either.
No, it's not.
I just think it's kind of getting intensified.
It's getting intensified in the fact of no longer is it just boring.
Right.
They want a dangerous
They
man.
want someone to be able to kill them but not kill them.
Yes. 100%.
And it's like...
They want the guy that could do that.
Yeah.
But not actually do that.
Yep.
They want a guy that is going to be like, you're mine.
Yeah.
And only mine, but they don't understand the ramifications of what an actual guy that's like that is going to be like. And what that abuse looks like. And it's really sad because when you get into that abuse, it's real hard to
scary.
get out of too. Like really hard.
Yeah.
So my question is, what do you think that's going to do to men? Do you think this is just frustrating for them? Or is it actually shaping how they show up in relationships now? And I would love to talk to a guy about this.
I was going to say, this would be really good to have Jared
Yeah.
weigh in on again. But I think, what was the question again? Do I think it's shaping how
Do you think it's shaping them or do you think it's just frustrating them?
I think it's a mixture. But I definitely think, I'm going to go back to kind of like what he said about the guys, how he was saying incels are kind of just not... They're just going to kind of conform to things, like act like they're your best friends. I think they're probably going to be the same people that act like this, you know? And then, because like the alpha type are kind of probably doing that already.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
So...
But are they, it's like with these dark romances, right? Like, you know, you said the alpha type. The alpha type has always been around.
Yeah.
These abusive guys have always been around.
Yeah, it's nothing new.
It's nothing new, but do you think they're going to have easier times? Or like, again, not even just easier times getting a relationship, because I feel like they can easily pick out women that they can control, but is there going to be a lot more available to them that want controlled?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
That's what I think.
I definitely think that.
Yeah. And then with that, do you think we're normalizing red flags? Like, are we giving abuse a pretty aesthetic?
Yes.
I'm just saying, if we're allowing this toxic behavior, if we're allowing this possessiveness, if we're allowing this, it does. I mean, a guy that's doing this to you isn't respecting you. Again, I'm going to stress, there's a line between being with someone that you really love or like you like, right? And you have a good relationship.
Yes.
And it's not like this on the norm, but you guys role play. Totally different than living this relationship in reality in the norm.
Yes.
Like it being your every single day. That, like, that guy, like, if we're allowing guys like that to really step in and do what they want to do, of course there's cheating.
Yeah.
Of course it's going to go farther than just control or possessiveness or like, don't wear that, your body's only for me.
Girl,
you know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to go farther. It will.
It will. 100% it will.
So my question is this. With this, again, like I get, and I wanted to say, like, I'm not saying to stop reading dark romances at all. Honestly, like, I agree. Some of them are really great storytelling.
Yeah.
Like, they are. Like I said, that one book, I felt more seen than I've ever felt in any book of my life.
But also the kinks, if you have, like, a healthy mind and, like, you can separate it, the kinks are hot. I mean, it's a hot thing to think about.
But we have to draw the line between fantasy and what we'll tolerate in real life.
100%.
Because not every man who texts back fast makes you feel safe is boring. Not every guy is. What it's saying is, like, just because he texts back fast, just because he makes you feel safe, doesn't automatically mean he's going to be boring. Right. You got to, like, see how that's going to go.
Wait, is that what girls don't like?
Yeah.
They don't like when a guy texts
They don't want safe. But fast. Like, they want a guy that's brooding and, like, that's what the books are creating.
I would lose interest if a guy didn't text me back.
And not every brooding, broken man is deep. Some are just emotionally unavailable.
And emotionally broken.
Go back to our first one, avoidant.
Oh, yeah.
Avoidance, and I can come with being someone that kind of leans avoidant. Like, it's not a fun relationship to be in.
I have a funny story.
Yeah.
about talking about these kinds of kinks, because I was never like sexually abused, but like I've had these kinks too. And so, with my boyfriend, when we first started hooking up and we were doing kinky shit, you know, and he was being rough, and then I couldn't stop laughing. I couldn't stop. And then
I know this story.
he just literally was like, "You're supposed to be scared." I lost it.
But that's because in your normal relationship, there's none of that.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, he's not scary.
I just couldn't.
You're supposed to be scared.
And then I couldn't even do anything at that point, because I was just like, this is so funny.
But that's because you don't have that dynamic in your normal relationship.
He's not an abusive
man.
man.
Yeah. So it's like you don't have that dynamic. Again, it was a kink that was being played out. But then when that, like, I could imagine you just cracking up. I would have a hard time too, I think, sometimes. Like, I really would. I'd be like,
so
you what? Say what? But honestly, like, how do we as women hold space for fantasy? I wanted to ask you this. Okay. How do we as women hold space for fantasy? Because me and you both have a lot of that. We like that darker stuff. Without letting it warp what we think love should feel like. I mean, I think I have a really good, healthy line with that. Again, like, and you haven't been through, like, the traumaticness that I've been through, but, like, I think that women, I really always push therapy. I think it's really wise. And honestly, like, I think understanding that your normal life shouldn't look like these books.
Yeah.
If you want your bedroom to look like these books, 2 thumbs up. Yeah. But if, like, it should always feel like when you're done at the end of the day with, like, you should feel safe always.
Yes.
Right? Passion and obsession and that, it's going to fade at some point, but then you're just going to have the abuse there.
I think with the question you asked me, I don't know if I'm the right person to really give a response, because I've never been someone who would feel safe with that. So, like, for me, I've just always had those boundaries. I couldn't give, like, an advice on if that's something that I wanted or was attracted to, on what to do or how to move forward, because I've always felt very unsafe if somebody makes me feel that way.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think,
you've
like
had it
you
in the
said,
bedroom.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
You don't want it in your... I think that's the clear line.
I do not.
Is the daily life is one thing.
Yes.
In the bedroom is another, but you should walk out of that. Because I remember you telling me a story, and I hope you don't mind me saying this. I remember you telling me one time it got really bad.
It did.
And you cried.
Yes.
Like, that's what it shouldn't be.
Right.
You know, and you like that kind of stuff, but that's what it shouldn't. There was obviously a difference in that moment.
Yeah, and that's where that was a line that was drawn after that, because I was like, I don't like that.
Well, there you go, right? You're just like, you were like, this is too far.
Yeah, I was like, that's not what I like.
And I think I'm just hoping that women think that inside themselves,
and
like, speak up. Because at fantasy in the bedroom, you should all have clear expectations and speak up for yourself and say, no, I don't like that. Yes, I do like that.
And I think the fact, you should not be afraid to tell the person too.
Yeah.
Because if you feel afraid of telling them, then that probably
means
they're not safe.
They're not safe. Right. If they get upset and they're like, oh, well, you just ruined it, they're abusive. Sorry, they're abusive. Right. And you 100%. Need to get out. But that's, like, I think the biggest thing. So it's like, at the end of the day, chaos isn't a love language. And we have to stop calling peaceful love boring. The men who are actually kind, grounded, and safe, they're not the fallback plan. They're the damn prize.
100%.
Yeah. Like, and
they can learn to be.
Yeah.
Like,
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So what do you think healthy passion looks like? And what kind of male character would you want your daughter or your younger self or yourself right now? Like, what would be relationship goals? What does healthy passion actually look like?
I think healthy passion is big communication. Big on communication. You feel safe to express anything you're feeling, anything you're wanting, thinking, wanting to try, and have a safe space to do that and have fun doing it. But I think, honestly, just the biggest thing is communication. If you have good communication, I feel like there's no limit on what you can do in your relationship.
I agree. There's a limit.
But
there's
you know what I'm
talking
about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
But, like, that is really the biggest thing.
Yeah.
To me.
I agree. I think
I
agree.
feel like that's a boring answer, but I feel like that is...
I agree. It's 100% though. Healthy communication is so key to having a relationship. And then...
And this I can speak on. This is coming from someone who is a recovering non-communicator.
Avoidant.
Okay? So that is possible. You can get to a point where you are comfortable speaking up, because I wasn't always.
Yeah.
And now I have no problem with it.
So, again, we talked about it, right? Like, do you think this is a kink thing? Like, people exploring control, power, domination, but just not labeling it that way? Or is it a fantasy of danger without is it a fantasy of danger without actual danger? I know that's definitely for me. Like, I like a little dangerous sex. Like, I like that. Like, but it not being real danger.
I think for the average person, yeah. It's like what you just said, but I do think there are some people that kind of want the actual danger.
Oh, I think so too. Yeah, and I think they're going to be drawn to that, especially if they're like, oh my God, like he's the perfect guy. I want that. And they find somebody in real life that has those traits. Then they're now going to be stuck in a really horrible relationship. I also want to just say that when you're into that, like, really get somebody, like when you're into the aggressive or that kink, like especially when it comes to like choking, and really get somebody that you are truly safe with, knowing that they are not going to take it too far, because you can legitimately get hurt in those types of things. So I think having a communication, safety is key. You're not going to have that with an actual abusive person.
No, you're not.
So, and to have an actual like kink or a fulfilling like that kind, there is a lot of like respect and communication and safety and all those things.
If you talk to anybody in the BDSM world, that is like their number one thing is it is all about. But communication is the biggest part of it.
Consent is massive and huge.
But what's upsetting is I think the problem is a lot of people that are into like the dangerous side of that don't want that.
No. But
even the women sometimes don't.
But you can 100% play as non-consent, but you're doing it with consent.
But I don't think that's what I'm saying though. I don't think they want it. You know what I mean? And we're not going to say names or anything, but we know of people who want people to come into they leave their door unlocked.
Okay, yeah, we can speak on that one because that's actually very close to what is portrayed in these books. Yes. So let's speak on that. I think that's a really good one.
So there's some people who, and this is what I'm saying, this is the dangerous side. They don't always want like the consent. I mean, it's technically consent because like they'll but set
how
it up.
They go about it, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I think there's apps or something or online forums and stuff that you can meet people who want to be raped, but like in a consensual way. But it can be very, very dangerous because there are people that we have heard stories, not in personal life, but heard stories of some people will put people they don't like on these sites and set them up to get raped. And then the people coming to grape them think that they're consenting, but they're actually not.
But it's all play.
Yeah.
But it's not, and you don't know. But you were saying like, the whole point of that is they leave their door unlocked. They're like, hey, I'm going to leave my door unlocked. They set this all up online. You sneak in, you pretend to grape me. But like you said, there's been instances where they set people up to have it done to them.
And that's not anybody we know. Those are things that I've heard. But we know of people that have done things like that. And that's where I'm saying there are those types of people. And that's where... that to me that draws the line a little bit. It's a little but
also like you could be letting somebody in your like, even if you're into that like
you
that's
don't know
another thing. Like you got to have somebody who is, but they don't want that. They want that danger. They really want that danger.
Person.
That's what I'm saying. So like they don't even want to act it out with someone that's safe and they know they want that danger.
And I just think I don't know. Like I don't want to shame somebody's kinks.
No,
like that's not what I'm doing. It's
listen. There's some kinks I'm just gonna say I will shame, but not like
you're right.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with wanting that. That's not what I'm saying. But it's more of the safety aspect, like But I think that that's part of the kink, is it not being safe. And
But I think there's just lines that have to be drawn in so many of these parts. Like, there's lines that have to be drawn. You know, you need to look at this. Like, these books, great. Should these books land in the hands of teenagers? Fuck no.
No, that's what I was going to
No.
say. I'm shocked that when I was in Walmart, they're just there. Right next to the kids' books. And I'm like...
Even the ones that I read when I was 15, never.
No.
Because it portrayed a really abusive dude who was angry and yelled at the girl and was like mean and all this kind of stuff. And then she was like, I can make him better, you know? And then he like has this like, I can't take it anymore. I'm going to take you because I want to do it with you now. Like, you know, blah. And then like, she's like, that's how she does. They always like swoon like,
oh my God. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ. But they do. He's like, sorry,
That's
my
okay.
ring. Yeah, they're like, I'm an angry man and I don't want love. I don't want love. And then she's like, I know I'm so silly.
But you
I don't
do
ever
want love.
You do want love, but I don't want you because you're just an angry man. They're like, damn it, lady.
I'm going to take you now.
I'm going to take you. I'm going to kidnap you from your village.
And you're going to like it.
And I'm going to take you back to my boat.
A boat?
Yeah, it was a boat.
Oh.
And then I'm going to make you sleep with me. And then she's like,
I'm just a girl. I can't do anything.
And then she's like, I've never had love like that before. And then he's like, I'm angry again. And she's like, but I love you.
Oh my God. Why? I mean, like, I know why. It's trauma, like, obviously. But, like...
But then he's just the nice guy just for her.
Is he, though?
No.
No. That's what
He's
I thought.
not. But he is in the books because now she's like the love of his life because he got over his anger with her and his frustration because he got to do it.
Oh, so he was frustrated with
so
her because he couldn't...
He wanted to, and she was innocent and pure, and he could not do that to her. But then he defiled her.
And then he wasn't mad anymore.
Then he was mad, but like she could handle him because she was his lady.
I hate it. I'm sorry.
It was so bad.
I don't like it. I don't want it. That's not my thing. I can understand, like, when the things that you've told me about Haunting Adeline, there's aspects in that I get.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
I don't get this angry man.
No. These old romance ones, no. Follow me for more reenactments of old romance novels. I'm angry. I'm an angry, brooding man who's on a boat. And I'm angry and I'm a pirate.
Oh. Was he a pirate?
I don't. Yeah, he was.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, he was. I had to remember. He was, but he was also a baron. He had a secret life as a pirate.
The Great Baron.
Yeah, he's a baron. And he watched Sarah climb out of her tree. He was going to kidnap her, but she was going to him.
Oh, his plan has been foiled.
Yes.
Oh, my Lord.
But anyways, it was all full of lies and deceits, too. The book was, like, full of lies and deceit.
Of course.
But yet they found a way. And then they were madly in love. Had so many children.
Oh, why?
So many at the end. Because it's a historical romance. You know, they always just had the babies back then.
And then everything was perfect and fine and no problems.
No, he was still angry, but he was her angry man now.
I'm sorry for her.
Yeah, she liked it. No, she didn't. Come on now.
Yeah, we all know she didn't.
No one liked it. No one wants to deal with the angry man.
And then her kids probably didn't like him either.
Yeah, they're probably like, fuck you, Dad.
I'm like, God damn it.
Oh, my dad's a pirate and a baron.
Why do we have to live on this boat?
When he's a baron, do I live on this boat?
What is a baron? I only know from What We Do in the Shadows with the Great Baron.
Okay, so I'm not going to pretend like I know. It's a title.
Okay.
And it's in England, typically. And it's like a title. Like, it's like You know,
Okay.
kind of thing, like you have a baron and a duke. It's like their titles. But
Okay.
again, I did not...
Is it like in the king realm?
Kind of like in
Like
that.
that?
It's kind of in that whole
Okay.
era type of thing.
Okay.
But he was a pirate and a baron.
Oh.
Squalor and riches.
Well, what did he need to be a pirate for if he was
Because
a
he
baron?
wanted to.
So he's a rich man stealing shit? This guy sucks. I'd be so pissed.
What makes him dangerous?
I'd be pissed.
He was dangerous.
No, that's not dangerous. That's annoying.
He was. He took her on the boat, and then he did it to her on the boat. He did it.
I just don't like this man.
Yeah, she was real sick on the boat because she had boat sickness.
I hope she threw up on him.
She threw up everywhere, and he was like, and then she got her period on the boat. It was in the book, guys. I'm not kidding you. And he rubbed her back. And she said, "Oh, don't touch me." Of course, I'd feel that way too. I'd be like, "Get off me."
She fell in love with him.
Yeah,
She
fell
had
in love with
Stockholm
him.
syndrome.
Anyways, Anyways, that's all about that stuff. Anyways, enough about Baron Pirate.
God.
What's crazy is it was one of my favorite books when I was younger.
What was it called?
The Gift.
The Gift? The Gift?
She was a gift for him.
Well, what about her? What does she get?
The Baron Pirate. She gets a Baron Pirate. And a boat. Don't you know? A title and a boat.
I don't
What every
want
girl
it.
wants. A rich man with a boat.
No, I don't.
Oh, no, maybe not you and me, but lots of girls want it.
I don't like the water. I don't like the ocean. And I do not like boats. I said it.
I'm on the water. Sorry.
You know what I always say? I don't like boats.
What? You know what I always say anyways. I don't like boats.
That's what I always say.
That's what I say anyways, all the time. No, that's not how you say it. That was weird.
God.
Okay.
Speaking of boats, I have to tell you this. So I have a friend who's dating this guy. It's been like not that long. It's been like less than 6 months.
Yeah.
So I guess like she's very much like me. Like we're very jokey and like sarcastic. And I guess this guy's not. And they got into like a tiff the other night. And then she was just like, "Oh, whatever floats your boat." And then he got silent and stopped talking to her. Like, gave her the silent treatment. And then when she's like, "What's going on?" Like, he's like, "I don't like that pun."
What?
It triggers him. She's like, "I'm sorry, how am I supposed to know that?" It has something to do with his ex-girlfriend. I'm like, how the fuck are you supposed to?
Could you imagine?
No.
You're like, whatever floats your boat. He's like,
Does it talk to you for hours?
dude. The next time I saw him, I'd be like, row, row,
I literally-
row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, merrily.
But she said it because like she's trying to get her boating license.
Yeah.
Which I think is so cute. But she was like trying to get her
Arana
boating
got her
license.
boating
Oh my
license.
god, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So she's like she was wanting to do that, so she thought it was like a funny pun. Because she was like literally just
And
talking
he
about her.
just like got, because it triggered him.
And I'm like, girl. I'm like, I don't see this, I don't know if I see this one. I kind of like, when I meet him, I kind of want to be
if
like.
the phrase "whatever floats your boat" triggers him, he needs help.
And I was like, is he like funny? Like, because she is so much like me, like very like dry humor, jokey, like
Yeah.
stupid kind of like puns, dad humor, if you will.
Is she funny?
He's not.
She said he's not funny.
And there's been like a few other things that she said that like he gets.
I could never be with someone that's not funny. Fuck that.
That's what I'm like.
I could never.
See, this is my
In
thing.
fact, the weirder, the better for me. Like,
Me
in a good way.
too.
Not weird in a way that you're like,
Not
I'm
creepy weird.
creeped
No,
out.
no.
Wait, do you remember our dance? The creepy man dance. A creepy man dance. Sorry.
We were at a party the other night.
We were doing the creepy man where we were on each other going, creepy man.
But that's my thing. I need funny. I think most girls want that.
I need funny. I want odd.
Odd.
In a good way.
Yeah.
I want different. I want, you know what? I like just a guy that's a little, I like
quirky.
Someone that's a little
quirky and out
quirky. I
there.
like quirky.
Yep.
I like interesting.
Me
I don't
too.
want the norm. I don't want.
Same.
No. And if they're like a bro, or even like because I like both, and same if girls are like the typical like girl, out of here.
Yeah. It's not my thing.
Not my thing. Nope. I like interesting, funny. They have to have a good sense of humor. I'm okay with a dry sense of humor too, as long as it's good.
Yeah.
Has to be a good one. It has to make me have a little chuckle.
And I think I don't need someone to be perfectly cured of traumas, but I need you to have enough emotional intelligence to not bring your past relationship things like a pun.
Yeah, that would be a deal breaker for me.
And if it is that serious for you, to maybe bring that up ahead of time.
It'd be a deal breaker for me. I'd be like, yeah, this is...
Could you imagine going on...
This is not going to work.
Wait, imagine. You're going on this date with this guy. You're having a really good time. Like, you guys are really connecting. And it's been, like, a few dates. And then he's like, I have to tell you, though, like, I'm really triggered when somebody says whatever floats your boat.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Would you... Would you, like... But that would be better.
My problem... I would go, whatever floats your boat.
But that would be better than it just being sprung on you and like him ignoring you.
Could you imagine it was like your first date though, right? And that would be good though, because not to connect. And they were like talking to be like, by the way, I cannot handle the phrase, whatever floats your boat.
I would be like, thank you for your honesty. And I don't think I say it that often, so I think that will be okay. But like... Thank you for not just bringing it
I would have
me.
to die. I'd be like, wait, no, we got to break this down. Like,
know,
I would
you're
instantly
like,
be like, no, we got to break it down. Like,
what
stop.
happened? I know, I really want to know.
Here's my thing, and it's really hard for me, and I have to be understanding of other people.
Yes.
But when I know there's trauma there, I want to break it down.
Yeah.
I always want to dig in. I'm like, tell me. Tell me about it.
Because you've had so much yourself, probably, like, it's intriguing,
I have had
You're not coming from a place of like wanting to make fun of or like undermine. You like are curious.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I think
because so many quirks are trauma based.
Yeah, kinks and quirks.
So it's interesting to me because like I want someone that's healing of their trauma, but I find people that have had trauma of some sort a lot more interesting than people who haven't.
I mean, yeah.
And I'm sorry, like it's not that I think it's great if you don't have trauma. Like I hope that is your life. And
can I tell you something?
No, I'm just kidding.
I have trauma now.
Yes.
So okay, this is so like okay. So I love YouTube. I watch YouTube all the time. So I noticed something that I watch a lot of vloggers and they don't do anything in particular. They literally just like beep bop around their house. And like pick up things, and they're married and they have parents that are still together, and then their husband still has parents that are still together, and then like they're so happy and fun and nice, and like it's so normal. And I'm like, I think I like watching it because it is so not what I am used to at all. I don't know anybody that is that way. I didn't grow up with parents that way.
We're going to get into that topic, though, because I think a lot of people put a front up, too.
I think so, too.
I think there's many out there who have that, but I think a lot of people, like why we have our podcast, don't talk about things.
Oh, I agree with that 100%.
And so they put this front up that everything's beautiful.
No, she's not putting a perfect, it's just normal. It's not like the picture perfect, like Pinterest house, blah, 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 blah. It's not that. I don't like that.
But see,
hers is just like, she's just literally gets up and then she talks about like her makeup bag that she has, and then she wants to collect miniature makeup, and then she wants to like go to Europe and plan her trip, and then
no offense, sir, I'm sure she's fabulous. I would get bored.
I know, but like I think I finally pieced it together that I watched so many of those, just like, and the other girl, the Raw Beauty Christie, I love her. I used to watch her from like when she did her makeup stuff like a long time ago, but now she just does her pottery. And she has like chickens and like a farm.
Okay, I love that kind of stuff. I do like when it's like farms and chickens. I like that aesthetic. And
love it.
I love watching people do like art and pottery. And I really like that guy who you talk about, Norm. I like him. He's on TikTok, but his house is always a wreck. And then he cleans it at night.
I love that.
I love him. And I mean, he does it really cool. Like he's done things where he's taken everything out of his living room onto his on his driveway. And then re-put everything back, like cleaned everything. But he always sets a timer. He's like, watch me, guys. I'm going to do this and blah, 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 blah. And it's my favorite thing to watch because it's so lived in. Like he's got a wife and kids and
That's so cool.
and his wife is a nurse and she's amazing. And like he just, his house is wrecked at the end of the day. And he cleans everything at the end of the day. And then he does cute things like grabs and gets his wife's lunch put together and things that she needs for her next day. And like, he's a house husband and I love it.
That's cute. I love it.
I love it. I think
that's
house
cool.
husbands should be more normalized. I've said that in the last
Yeah.
one. I think it's adorable and wonderful, and I love when gender roles are like
Reversed.
mixed. Well, I don't even want to say reverse anymore. No, I mean like they are, right? But I wish that was more just the norm.
Congealed.
Yeah. I wish it was just more of a norm. Like there is no gender roles. Like you are what you are. In
whatever works for you.
Yeah, whatever works for you. Mm-hmm. You want to be the woman that works? Great. You know, like it's whatever works for you. So
I love watching that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Like
oh my gosh. I love cleaning.
Oh.
I love cleaning.
Me too.
I also love when they have like, you hear them
Organizing.
like moving things and they're like,
when it's sped up and you hear like the little.
oh, it's so good.
Oh, it's good.
Oh, it's so good. Or like,
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Oh my god, the fridge restocks.
oh, restock a clock is my favorite.
Have you seen the girl who's like, what is it's called? Like, how long did it actually take? Where I time this thing that I've been procrastinating and how long it actually takes. And it's the funniest shit. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it.
The restocking videos did help me though, because like with my eggs, when I bring in new eggs, I always put the old ones to the front.
Yes.
And put the new ones behind. Yeah. Like I always make sure I'm restocking appropriately.
I love it.
Now, which is really cool. I don't know, the sound of them, all of them.
It's so satisfying.
All of it. I love it.
So
I found what I do not like, and we're kind of going off on a tangent here. I love hairbrushies. I do not like hearing hairbrushed because on the ASMR when they're brushing a doll,
I don't think I've heard of it.
They brush like a wig. I hate it.
Ooh.
It's like,
ooh, that would sound hard.
It's a no go.
Ooh, okay. We'll be done with this little tangent after this, but remember the candy ASMR, like the chewy jellies,
the gummies, and they're like, it's my favorite.
I love it.
I especially loved when they would eat like fast, and then they would like put I forget what it was, but it was like the mukbang thing, and they like, and it was like sped up.
I love
and then
the
they had the little
honey.
drinky things. Like,
yes.
Oh, it's my favorite. The honey's my
frozen honeys.
Oh yes.
And then especially when
I actually love the honeycomb ones.
Ooh.
Where it's like,
oh, that's good.
Oh, it's so good. Okay, guys.
Okay.
So basically, to end this one out, like, I think I just want to sum it up as I think that these books can be very fun. Mm-hmm. But I do think there needs to be a lot of I think there needs to be a certain age that reads them. Because I don't think that girls should have the fantasy that they want this as their actual love life. But do I think it could be fun in the bedroom, an actual fun fantasy? 100%. I think it could be a real good time.
Yeah.
But I think leave it in the bedroom and not in your real life.
Have you seen the videos of the TikToks where like girls are listening to their audiobook and then the husband's walking and they're like, what the fuck? What the hell?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's perfect. You know, you need a boundary. You need to know, like, you know,
I'm all.
Yes.
I don't know what's going on in my mouth.
You're about.
But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. I think it's good to bring to light that this, in actuality, if this was a real relationship, it would be extremely toxic and dangerous. Yeah. But reenacting in the bedroom, so not totally toxic, so not okay. No, totally okay. So not toxic, so fun.
Yes.
And a really good time.
Yeah.
So.
And have fun exploring and communicate.
Yeah. Communicate. Safety. Guys, it's not boring. Safety is not boring. You can find a guy that is like spicy, but still safe.
Yep.
You can totally do that. It's a real thing.
It is.
So,
100%. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.
And if you want to read The Gift with the Bear and Pirate, it's called The Gift. Go read it.
I'm sorry.
Julie Garwood.
Read it.